Tommy Best, and you're listening to Today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to Today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to Today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to Today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host. Inkcarceration, America's rock, metal, and tattoo festival with Slipknot, Falling in Reverse, Five Finger Death Punch, plus Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Beartooth, Knocked Loose, Lamb of God, Parkway Drive, I Prevail, In This Moment, and so many more. Report to the Ohio State Reformatory on July 18th through 20th, 2025 to face your sentencing. 3 days of rock, tattoos, and the return of the Haunted Blood Prison. Passes for Inkcarceration are on sale now at inkcarceration.com. Zombified.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with Today's Boondoggle, and really excited about this conversation I'm about to have here, talking to tattoo industry legend Paul Booth. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing okay, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, man, so much to talk about. I'm really excited to have you on. I was just, watching a previous interview you did, and there are some interesting things I wanted to talk to you about, but usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to ask them this question. Originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, boy. I just wanted to leave the planet, honestly. Not necessarily or not. I just wanted to be beamed back home.
Nice. And then, when was it that you got into, art and drawing?
I've always been into art, even when I was a little kid. I think I was an only child, and I think the only accolades I ever got as a kid was when I drew pictures. So I kept drawing pictures, That's about it, really, as far back as I can remember. I mean, I won a poster contest in the 6th grade. That was like my big beginning, I suppose.
Nice. And then see it, you're obviously, the world's collided, as we'll get into, but when did you first become a music fan?
Well, like any kid, I got into music in my early years. I think the first concert I ever went to was AC/DC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was my big show that I went to. And I was a punk rocker when I was a teenager. When I was like 14, 15 years old, I was into punk rock and hardcore. And then I crossed over into metal. I'm not sure what age, I guess 15 or 16. And I got into Venom, Player, and all that. The heavy stuff, the evil stuff. House like that.
Nice. And then, as I was saying, I was watching a different interview you were doing. I understand that before you got into tattoos, you were good at stealing cars.
Oh yeah, I was a reaper for years. I actually knew how to steal cars a year before I was old enough to drive. They taught me how to pick locks and surveillance and all kinds of stuff. I miss it so much because back then we didn't really have tow trucks. You had to actually steal the cars and to get them. And a lot of times, like in New York, you had to get the car before you went to the police station. So it was basically like Grand Theft Auto until you got to the cop shop. And anything goes in that situation,
Nice. And then, I understand that you also started playing music as well. I'm trying to kind of figure out your timeline. What came first? You picking up an instrument or you picking up a tattoo needle?
Well, in school and grade school, I was, let's see. I picked up an instrument, probably 7th grade. And I was in the school band as a trombone player, of all things. And I played a bit of drums, a little bit of guitar, but mostly I'd say drums. So I do have a sense of rhythm, I think. And I got out of music when I got into drawing in high school. I just went towards visual art. And I would say at 20 years old, I got into tattooing. I wasn't really into music anymore as far as creating music. And then in 2007, 2006, I think, I kind of got into creating like ambient music, like electronic, ambient art meditation kind of stuff. Like I started with a group of paintings that I had done for an art show, and I gave each of the paintings a soundtrack. So there was music to listen to while you viewed the paintings, and that pretty much got me back into making music. Well, the first music actually. So that was my first album. I think I'm on my fifth now. Not that anyone listens to it, but it's fun to make anyway.
Yeah, always creating, man. That's awesome.
I mean, it's not metal, you know. It's nothing you'd listen to while you're driving. Put it that way.
No. I mean, I'm you know, I'm into like listening to like kind of like solfeggio frequencies and stuff like that when I go to bed at night.
Right.
You know, so it's like I'm into kind of that meditative stuff. I don't know if your stuff will give me good dreams or nightmares though.
Oh, I don't know. It's not as dark as I'd like it to be, but it's fairly dark.
And then, you know, I wanted to ask, like, as tattooing became a thing for you, what was like, you know, as you started finding your own, making your own name in the tattoo industry, what's been some of your biggest inspirations?
My biggest inspirations in tattooing,
Yeah.
as far as individuals or events, or I'm sorry.
I mean, just like your inspirations for creating your own art.
Well, when I started tattooing, I worked in a street shop, a very traditional street shop, where I started out mopping the floors and cleaning the toilets, and I'd say learning how to make needles, of course, and you know everything involved with a traditional apprenticeship. After 2.5 years there, I moved to California for a short time, and I got into the freedom that I had now. I didn't have a street shop over my head anymore telling me to do all the Tasmanian devils and the hearts and roses and all that typical stuff at the time. I just got into drawing my own. And from then on, I turned into a freehand artist. Everything I do is freehand now. I said once I got the freedom after that shop, I then was able to really explore my art a lot further.
And then when did Last Rites come together for you?
Last Rites, named that. I actually named it in '94. And it became a shop in '98. Those years before it became a shop, it was a traveling name. Last Rites was like my handle as far as where I came from, but it was always vague as to where it was because it didn't actually exist. And then in '98, I moved into New York City when it legalized and started then. So yeah, the late '90s.
Nice. So originally you were kind of like the Ultimate Warrior, parts unknown.
Yeah.
Until you had a.
In the magazines, I hailed from Terrorville and Creep Zone and all these made-up names we had because I didn't have a shop. I just traveled. So we just kept making up crazy names for where I was from, and it was kind of funny at the time.
And then, like when you finally, you know, had a you know, started Last Rites and had a physical place for it, like what's you know, what has been like the goal and what has it grown into? And do you expect, were you you know, when you originally started it, did you imagine it would grow to what it's become today?
You know, when I started as myself, Paul Booth, and I had no idea I was going to get the attention that I did. I was just looking for a job, to be honest. I went to a convention in '91 where I had lost when I moved back to the East Coast. My job was not waiting for me as promised, so I basically had to find a new shop. So what I did was a big back piece on my girlfriend at the time, and went to a convention, a big convention, hoping to find a job using her as like a portfolio, and it went far beyond what I had expected. All of a sudden, I'm on the covers of magazines, and there's interviews with me, and things just blew up, and I wasn't prepared, or did I expect it. I just tried to keep up with it over the years, and it's just escalated over time. All it really ever was for me was just trying to keep up with it.
I was hearing something in one of your other interviews too that I don't know if it was this convention that you're talking about in particular, about how like your worlds collided with music, that Igor from Sepultura took an interest in your work.
Yeah, I remember I was doing a show in Anaheim, California, and a mutual friend told me Igor wanted to meet me, and I was psyched because I was a huge Sepultura fan. And I said, yeah, sure. And we met up and we became friends immediately. I tattooed him there at the show. And after that, Igor had invited me out to his place in Arizona, and got to be friends with the family. And I tattooed Max and Gloria. And then they all invited me out on the road the next year in '94. And I was out. My first tour I ever went on was Pantera, Sepultura, and Biohazard in '94, and that's where I started meeting all these rock stars and everybody. Phil and Salmo and I were kind of eyeballing each other across the room because we kind of he heard of me, but he didn't know who I was or anything, and he heard I was into horror, and we hit it off, and all the other artists and everything. And then I started. It kind of turned into bus hopping, really. Like I would go out in the summertime and I'd go out with a band that I met, and then I'd spend a couple of weeks with them, tattooing the band or what have you, and then I would get invited out with another band, so I would jump buses to another bus and hang out with that band on their tour for a week or two, and that's what my summer years. I did all the early Ozzfests and Family Values and all those tours. Backstage. Nice. It was fun.
So it's funny because that tour, when I heard you mention that in that other interview, and I remember, I don't know if you were on the road with them at this particular stop, but that tour came to the Richfield Coliseum here by Cleveland, Ohio. And I remember like my friend worked at down in the flats at like this adult place called Tiffany's, and Vinny and Dime had come in there and we're hanging out, and my buddy calls me, he's like, hey, Vinny and Dime are here, come. It's before cell phones, so they had to pick up the dial up, yeah. And I drove down, I hung out with Vinny and Dime, and I think Vinny was just like, hey, you going to the show tonight? I'm like, man, I gotta work. He's like, call off, I'll put you on the guest list. And then I ended up getting to go to that show, and it was amazing. So I don't know that, but it was Pantera, Sepultura, and Biohazard. So,
yeah, had to be the same tour.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were on that whole tour, or
I can't remember now. It's been quite a while. I was on for a while. I don't know if that location or not.
And then speaking of like some of the Ozzfest and a lot of your intro into the music world and your friendships you've made, you actually tattooed a friend of mine here in Cleveland, Ohio, Mark Hunter of the band Chimera.
Oh, Mark, yeah.
How did you connect with Mark? Was that during the Ozzfest days?
Yes. Yeah, I believe it was Ozzfest. I originally met Mark. He wanted to get tattooed, and I don't know if I started it at my shop or on the road. I really can't remember. This stuff kind of bleeds together after a while. But I know he'd been to my shop several times, and we had crossed paths on the road quite a few times. And, I haven't seen him in quite a few years, but we were good friends back in the day. Sure.
Yeah, he's been doing well, man, and they've been doing a couple of the festivals, getting back together.
Yeah,
for those. So it's been great, man.
Yeah.
See them out doing it again. And then, like, I'm also like a huge WWE fan. Been a wrestling mark since I was a kid, but I heard that you got to actually do the Undertaker and like Aleister Black, two of my favorites. How did that come together for you?
Well, I was at a convention in New Jersey at the time. Don't remember the year. But he was in town for a match, and I guess he knew who I was because he had gotten word to me that he wanted to get tattooed. And so, because of who he was, I said, we'll do it up in the hotel room so it bothers us, have some privacy, be able to focus on the art. So that's what happened. I tattooed him in the hotel room. I remember when he walked in the room, he had to duck and turn sideways to get through the door. He's a big guy.
Yeah. Nice, nice. And what was that experience like? Are you a wrestling fan at all, or?
I watch wrestling too once in a while, but I'm not really much into sports, to be honest with you. And I don't hate wrestling. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't know who to say other than those two. I wouldn't know who to say I liked. I just like to see them all beat the hell out of each other, really.
Yeah. While wearing your art.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I know you've also done like some album artwork along the way. Talk a little bit about that and like who you've had the pleasure of. Is there any particular one that's been your favorite, or?
Probably 6 Feet Under. Chris Barnes and I were tight back in the day, and he had asked me to do some album covers for him. And the one I did in particular was a head with all these needle attachments going around it. I don't remember what I called it at the time, but there was some fun ones. One was I'm sorry, I can't recollect which one went to which album, but because I had done a bunch. But there was one where I had hands digging a skull out of the ground with all these worms on it and everything. I used my mother's hands, and she was all freaked out because I was throwing worms on her. It's amazing what you'll do to get the art.
Good thing Mom was a willing participant, huh?
Kind of had to be a willing participant.
Very supportive of her son's art, huh?
Well, she's got great hands. They're great. They're creepy. They're like veins, and she's like 86 now, but I mean, her hands were great for photo shoots, so I always use them.
Nice. You've immortalized Mom's hands.
Yes, absolutely.
And then let's talk a little bit about your book, Mortal Skin.
Oh, sure. What do I say? It's my first attempt at a novel. I've had this story floating around in my head for quite a while, but I never really materialized it into something. I like to explore new territory, like a book or anything I'm doing. It's usually something that I haven't done before and I'm trying to master. And writing, I've always written, but I've never done anything at the extent of a novel. Nothing as big as a novel. So it was a big undertaking for me. Not that it's a huge novel. I mean, it's maybe more of a novelette, I suppose.
Gotcha.
But I don't know what to say about it. It is what it is,
Nice.
I don't know if it's good or bad, really. I don't get a lot of feedback on that one, so I'm not really sure. But I had people that read it said they really enjoyed it, so that's cool.
Yeah, and that's cool that you're exploring all these different avenues. Another thing that I see you've gotten into is the coffee business as well now with Devil's Pact. How'd you get into that?
Well, Concept Cafes reached out to me, a company I'm working with, and they reached out and said, "Let's do a coffee." And I said, "What the hell? Why not? I like coffee." So we explored quite a few different flavors and what I was looking for, and we ended up with a Sumatran thing that comes off the side of a volcanic mountain where there's all these natural disasters that happen all the time, and it turned out to be really good coffee on top of it. So I'm like, what more could I ask for? This is meant to be.
Yeah, it was supposed to be yours.
Natural disasters, and so I named it appropriately, and off we went. It's actually, I don't put my name on anything unless it's really kick-ass, because I'm not going to jeopardize my name or my brand with just to put my name on something. If I don't personally like it, I'm not going to do it, and I'm kind of known for that. So my peers, so most of the people that know me know if I'm making coffee, it's damn good coffee. So
nice. Nice. I look forward to trying that one out.
Yeah. I hope you do.
And of course, one of the main reasons why we're talking today is you got this. You're going to be the head VIP tattoo artist at the Inkcarceration Music Festival coming up this year.
Yeah.
Now this is at the Mansfield Reformatory, where they film Shawshank Redemption and stuff. Have you ever had a chance to visit this yet?
No, I haven't. I went to a bike show years ago outside of Columbus, which I could have been this place. I don't know. Is there another jail out there near Columbus? I don't know. But
this is like an hour away from Columbus. It's between Cleveland and Columbus.
Right. I might have been there for a bike meet many years ago, but I don't remember if it was the same prison.
Did you ever get to do a tour of it and everything?
No, never.
Nice.
I'm checking it out though.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they've done. I've done like some overnights there with some friends. It's like, for like paranormal ghost hunters and stuff like that. There's a lot of lore there, so I think it's right up your alley, man. I'm looking.
We're supposed to go ghost hunting like Thursday or Friday. So I'm looking at that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast, man. So, and then, the Inkcarceration Music Festival, once again, your worlds are colliding. Now, this has been going on for a number of years, and it's been a, great festival, but to have an artist of your caliber, is pretty cool, man. What are you looking for? Any bands on this bill that you're looking forward to connecting with?
The band I'm looking forward, because I've seen several of the bands before. But honestly, who I'm really excited about is Acid Bath.
Yeah.
I'm obviously never having seen them live. I'm really looking forward to checking them out. I've been an Acid Bath fan for many years, so.
Yeah, they've been killing it, man. They've had doing this reunion on these Danny Wimmer festivals, and it's been they were just at Sonic Temple, and then I think Welcome to Rockville, and it's just like the crowds were massive for them. And then, like I said, you're gonna be there at the Shawshank prison. Are you a fan of the movie Shawshank?
I'm not even sure I've seen it. I watch horror movies. That's about all I do outside of tattooing.
Yeah, they definitely got the backdrop there to do more horror movies for sure. But out of all the places that you've tattooed, though, is this going to be your first time doing some prison ink?
Yeah, I believe it is. Yep. Nice. I feel like I should get a guitar string and put a cassette motor together or something.
Yeah, make it authentic, right?
Yeah.
And then for like fans that are looking forward to trying to get inked by you, where do you recommend they try and sign up?
Basically, you can email me at lastritestattoo@gmail.com. My assistant will tell you the requirements, but basically I need to see like the area that you want to get tattooed, your budget, things like that. It's all pretty explanatory once they reach out to that email address. Yeah.
Awesome. And then after this event, like what's the future hold? I mean, you got the coffee, you got the book. Anything else you're looking to dip your toes into?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got a screenplay I wrote for a horror film, actually based on Mortal Skin and the book. And, I'm going to start shopping that around. With any luck, I can get some people behind me on it and I can finally make a horror film. I got software I'm developing for tattooing. I've got, I got my hands in a bunch of different things. If it interests me, I jump in. That's kind of how I am.
That's great, man. And then you mentioned being a horror movie fan. Like, what would you say is like one of your current horror movies that's been like one of your favorites?
Well, the last movie I saw that I really enjoyed was The Substance. As far as new movies go, I thought that one was very well done. There's not a lot of new stuff that really thrills me, I mean, I like the Terrifier franchise and all that, but I'm more into older stuff from different genres, from different countries, from Korea to Russia. There's flavors of ice cream horror movies like to me,
Yeah, yeah.
And,
I grew up a big horror or Hammer film horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Christopher Lee and all that stuff, man.
Right.
The stuff. Well, I know we're short on time here, but I want to ask you a couple quick questions. Who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Ooh, the Pope, my father, and a third, the band of Slip. My father and the Pope, not in a good way, but Slayer in a good way. So
Nice.
that's probably.
Nice. And then any message you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Stay safe, guys. Hang in there. I don't. I wouldn't know what to say. I'm not an authority on anything. I'm glad they're protecting our asses.
Gotcha. And then real quick, Paul, you mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself and you're listening to Today's Boondoggle.
What is it?
Boondoggle. Today's Boondoggle.
Boondoggle. Okay. Yeah, sure. Hey, I'm Paul Booth. You're listening to Boondoggle. Maybe I should do that again. Hey, everybody. I'm Paul Booth. I'll be headlining the tattoo part of the Inkcarceration Festival. And you're here listening to me on Boondoggle.
Awesome.
All
Paul,
right.
thank you so much for your time, brother.
All right, man. You got it.
Look forward to seeing you at Inkcarceration.
All right. Thanks. We'll see you there.
Bye.